If you would visit a local high school, you would probably see more students holding a Juul than box or stuff that you'd used for school. Originally, e-cigarettes are marketed for past cigarette users as alternative devices that would help them quit smoking conventional cigarettes and transition to vape products. However, the business began to face multiple lawsuits saying that its marketing techniques improperly targeted the juvenile population. What's good, you guys? This is Market Thrive, and today we're going to talk about how the e-cigarette company Juul made its success by accumulating billions of dollars and the issues they faced that resulted to their downfall. Before we start the video, I would just like you to do me a favor by just hitting that subscribe button and the bell notification down below to keep you updated on this channel. So without further ado, let's hop into it. When the electricity first became widely used in the 1920s, the concept of an electronic cigarette initially emerged. They were pricey, cumbersome, and lacked the functionality of a genuine tobacco product, so they never really took off. Han Lik, a Chinese pharmacist, created what are now known as contemporary e-cigarettes in the early 2000s. He smoked a lot of cigarettes and wanted to provide an alternative to burning cigarettes. The user can inhale nicotine without any tobacco being burned by heating a nicotine-containing liquid to create an inhalable smoke. E-cigarettes were initially made to resemble conventional cigarettes in appearance. They were promoted as a tool to assist adult smokers in giving up smoking. Although the long-term health advantages are still up for question, many experts agree that they are safer than regular cigarettes because they don't produce as many of the toxins that traditional cigarettes do. The UK's National Health Agency aggressively urges smokers to transition to vaping, saying it is much less risky than smoking. The US Centers for Disease Control are far more conflicted. Although they believe it may be helpful to adult smokers, they question its efficacy as a smoking cessation aid. However, practically all medical professionals concur that adults and children who are not currently smokers should not use vaping. E-cigarettes never truly took off during the 2000s and the beginning of the 2010s. They are frequently considered medical devices that resemble nicotine patches. Two graduate students at Standford University began brainstorming strategies to popularize vaping in the late 2000s. They understood that they would need to entirely rethink their marketing strategy if they intended to successfully introduce a vaping product to the broad market. Additionally, because the vaping industry was at the time mostly unnoticed from a marketing standpoint, it had a significant advantage over regular smokes. Big tobacco was successful in converting 40% of the US population to cigarette addiction throughout the 1950s and the 1960s. Marketing campaigns that were aggressive were largely responsible for their success. With mascots like the Marlboro Man, they portrayed cigarettes as being hip. They had the foresight to sponsor the children's animations like the Flintstones. This assisted them in cultivating the following group of devoted clients. The tobacco industry was compelled to pay hundreds of billions of dollars in damages once it was discovered that smoking and viral diseases were linked in the 1990s, and practically all advertising was outlawed. These limitations have had great success. In the US, the prevalence of smoking has decreased from around 40 in the 1980s to barely 16 in 2018. The vaping sector was like the Wild West in contrast to the traditional tobacco industry, which has been rigorously controlled since the 1990s. In contrast to the cigarette-shaped e-cigarettes of the past, James Monses and Adam Bowen desired something that appeared modern and inventive. To further bolster their positioning as a cutting-edge digital company, they even gave their business the name Juul Labs. And they were incredibly successful in doing this. They presented their sleek-looking, discreetly pocket-sized device in 2015. It has the appearance of a lengthy USB flash drive and may be charged by connecting it to a USB port on a laptop. It seemed less like a cigarette substitute and more like a consumer electronics item. The term iPhone of e-cigarettes quickly gained popularity and new flavors were added in place of the traditional tobacco and menthol flavors seen in previous vaping devices. Giving away tens of thousands of free Juul devices was one of their most effective marketing tactics. This was a brilliant strategy because the consumable pods that carried the e-liquid accounted for the great bulk of the company's income rather than the sale of the gadget itself. A heavy jeweler might easily use one of these pods per day at the suggested retail price of more than $5 per unit in the US. You can add more juice from any brand to open-tank vapes. As a result, the liquid's price is driven extremely low and it turns into a commodity. The equipment is sold for a low price, but the customer must keep returning to purchase the $5 pods, which are ultimately far more expensive. People were also prepared to pay a premium for Juul's hip and fashionable gadgets because of the strong brand image that the company had established. However, their apparent targeting of the children in a nearly identical way to how their tobacco industry had done so in the past was possibly their most serious transgression. According to the results of an investigation by the Massachusetts Attorney General's office, Juul brought commercial spots on Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. Additionally, they rejected marketing plans that specifically catered to adult smokers. They wanted to focus on what they referred to as the cool crowd. When Juul was introduced in 2015, its market share was 0%. By 2017, it had increased to 24%, and by 2018, it had reached an astounding 75% of all vape sales in the United States. No other sector that I am aware of has seen a new product capture so many market shares so soon. Contrary to what the company would have you believe, youthful vapers are mostly responsible for the firm's rapid rise. A quasi-government nonprofit called the Truth Initiative works to discourage young people from smoking and vaping. According to a 2018 poll, 15 to 17-year-olds use Juul 16 times more frequently than 25 to 35-year-olds. Contrary to the company's claims that it can assist adults in quitting smoking, it is not very popular among adult smokers. Additionally, 56% of young people and adults who use Juul reported beginning its use when they were under the age of 18. These statistics definitely aren't shocking to you if you attended high school in the US between 2015 and 2018 or know someone who did. The significant spike in underage vaping that occurred between 2015 and 2018 also correlates with the rise of Juul. Only 16.3% of students in the 12th grade vaped in 2015. This had grown to 27 by 2018. Altria and 35 state control agreed to a deal in late 2018 for around $13 billion. This put a staggering $38 billion on the company's value, surpassing Twitter. The Marlboro brand is owned by the big tobacco giant Altria in the US. Traditional cigarettes were losing market share to e-cigarettes. Altria believed that if business continued to grow at the current rate, it would someday become a mere shadow of what it once was. They might counteract this competitive danger by acquiring Juul. The FDA began looking into Juul for potential child marketing long before Altria invested in the e-cigarette manufacturer. Juul declared in 2019 that they would discontinue selling all fruity flavors including mango and cucumber, as they were the flavors that were the most well-liked by children as a result of severe regulatory pressure. The FDA almost probably would have filed a lawsuit against them soon to halt this if they hadn't stopped willingly. Additionally, they ceased all US advertising. Juul had a serious issue with this. Their main competitive advantages were their fruity flavors and marketing activities. When these advantages vanished, the company quickly began to lose market share. They were also severely affected by the pandemic as a result of virtualizing schools, kids experiencing reduced peer pressure, and easy availability to Juul products. The corporation had a significant issue because school-aged children made up a large portion of their clientele. Altria was required to write off the value of their Juul investment by 88 by the end of the 2020, resulting in a nearly complete loss. The corporation was valued at just over $1.6 billion as a result, down from $38 billion when they first bought a part in it just 2 years before. Juul asserts that its customers are adult smokers looking to switch to vaping, but the sharp decline in sales and valuation that followed the company's being compelled to suspend its advertising activities belies that assertion. But the company's troubles are not yet done. By dollar value in 2020, they still held a 42% market share in the US. Their pods are more expensive than many of their rivals, which contributes to this in part. Future customer acquisition will be more challenging for them due to the limitations of their marketing. Many of the early adopters of the Juul are already addicted and will probably continue to be devoted consumers for many years. Their dubious marketing strategies were what ultimately attracted the regulators' attention and brought them down. However, the corporation is still valued at $1.6 billion today. Their product might not have ever achieved anything if it weren't for their obvious targeting of youngsters. How about you guys? Do you think Juul's marketing to children is the reason of their company's success? Feel free to jot down your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like. And if you want to stay updated on our posts, hit that subscribe button as well. Once again, This is Market Thrive, signing off.